thing. I feel like it was very 2010 to shit on people who were getting plastic surgery.
Yeah.
But so for me, it was so liberating to be able to have sex and not worry about where my breasts were going or if my body sounded like it was doing a fucking standing ovation. Like, my ass and my tits were clapping. I was like, everyone calm down. I haven't even finished yet. Like, I don't need this much appreciation from my body. Like, I'm running out of breath. Like, imagine having sex with your boyfriend. It's just like...
Chemical X.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Chemical X podcast. I'm Alessia.
I'm Veronica.
And we have a special guest with us today. It's been a minute since we've had a guest on the podcast. It's because Veronica and I are very picky when we have someone on. And we always want to have the best on. So welcoming the one and only
Eva
Eva.
Alexo.
I'm so excited.
She's wasted right now.
She's like, not yet, but like soon.
I don't know. With the vodka nothing your boyfriend just made me.
Yeah. He's like, here's vodka with a breeze of 7-Up.
I think that 7-Up was just like...
Yeah, he was like,
was
oh,
it.
look, there's mist.
The gesture was there. I see your love language. We love it. I accept it full drunkenly.
So we actually all met Eva. Did you meet Eva last week?
Definitely not.
No.
Okay, so you guys know each other.
We were actually fuck friends.
I've had many a nights with Veronica. No, I met
go way
her.
back.
Okay.
Wait, no. When did we meet though?
I guess I'm the guest on the podcast.
When did we meet though?
We met
This winter.
Yeah, we
At
met
Espas.
this winter. Yeah, at the club I was working at because her boyfriend was the DJ at the club.
Okay.
And her boyfriend is actually a fan of the podcast.
Yes,
So-
I heard of you guys through him.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah,
Look
he's a
at
fan.
boyfriend. Sometimes he could be useful. What the fuck?
Crazy.
Well, he was telling me, he was like, yo, these girls are doing it right. Like, look at this setup, look at this, look at that. And like,
now look at that.
and now look at that.
And your boyfriend is
That's what you always got to do. As soon as a guy your boyfriend compliments something, you're like, oh yeah, I could do it better. Look at me on the show, bitch. I know you like them, and look at me now, straight on your screen. Thought you were gonna do some shit by yourself? Nope, here I am.
Bing bong. No, don't copyright that. Don't sue me, Bing Bong Man.
So Eva's actually a comedian who we had the honor of going to one of my actual first shows in Montreal of comedy. So normally I've been to ones in New York, and this was actually my first one in Montreal. And I have to say, it was amazing.
No.
Yes.
Thanks,
Not trying to
guys.
flatter you too much, but
Well, I'm drunk. You can say anything to me, right? You can insult me right now and be like, stop it.
So tell us a little bit about you. I know you're a comic, and we love that about you, but you also produce your own comedy show in Montreal.
I do.
Shout yourself out.
I do. I produce the #1 English comedy show in Montreal called the Kick Back, and I'm very proud of it. My boyfriend and I started it 2 years ago when wearing masks inside was like still an option. Like it was still a right. You could choose. And at the time, him and I, he's probably going to kill me for telling this story, but fuck that. I don't care. I'm telling it, baby. So at the time we were, just hooking up, fooling around, and we were friends. And I had this very, very strict, like, I do not shit where I eat. I will not start a business or work with someone that is sticking their pee in my V. Anyways, so we start this show together.
You're like, anyways, that didn't last.
Yeah, no, it didn't work at all because, we were on the couch one day just chilling and he's like, yo, like, I'm a DJ. You're a comedian. Things are about to close. Why don't we just throw a party for 25 of our closest friends? My buddy runs N Bar and like they'll close off the whole space for us and do you think we can pull 25 people? And I was like, I don't know. So we each invited all of our past Tinder dates to our first comedy show.
oh my god, I love that.
So you're all here because it didn't work out. And I want
Yeah,
you to see
it was
who
a
it
mix
did
of our
that way.
friends and a couple like,
Listen, the job was 25 people.
Yeah.
We didn't say how we would get them there. We didn't say what the rules were. We said 25 people. It's kind of like any birthday I ever do. Like
100%.
My actual best friends can't show up, so it's like start going through the DMs. Who can show up?
Hey babe, I know you're like
hey babe, I know we haven't spoken in a year, but would love for you to come to my birthday. We're celebrating it here, and even if you can't come for dinner, you should definitely pass by after. It's gonna be lit.
Also, it's $100 a person. Let me know if you can make it.
Also, there's a wish list on Amazon. But yeah, we threw this like random show for 25 people, and it was like the concept of whatever. I'll throw a couple of my friends. Akeem was one of the first people on the show. Shout out Akeem, my boy.
He always gets shout outs on this fucking thing. Oh. He's gonna be here one day. Don't you worry, Akeem, because I know you're listening.
Worry, Akeem.
So Akeem is a comedian as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Akeem is one of my very good friends that I went to Vanier with in college. And I started comedy in like 2016, 2015, mostly because I didn't want to die without trying it once, or just like knowing if I could get to a certain level. But I didn't necessarily grow up and be like, I want to make fun of myself on stage forever. I was like, I'm going to be a vet or like a marine biologist or a whale rider, like one of those.
Whale rider.
Well,
Free Willy was my favorite movie. Not appropriate in these times, but in the 90s, I was like, yo, one day I'm going to be a whale rider. And I like go in like the like lac Saint-Jean, like put my hand in the water and just try to do that little flippy floppy that the boy does in the movie, and then the whale flies over his hand, and I'm like, maybe a beluga will pop out of this polluted river. Like I had high hopes. Never happened.
So you changed career paths, needless to say.
Yeah, like whatever. My roommate basically looked at me and he was like, you need to stop being a pussy. And this was when I was living in Toronto going to Ryerson. And I was like, fine, you're right. Like, at least if I bomb, I bomb, and that's the worst that could happen. Yeah. And there we go.
That sounds like the worst. I feel like when people say that, like, what's the worst that can happen? No one laughs. So I'm like, yeah, that would actually leave me scarred.
Yeah.
No, like, I know you're saying, like, what's the worst? No, like, that's the worst. Like...
But that's it. That's the worst, right? And it's like, okay, after that. And you know, it would be a little bit self-centered for me to be like, those people will never forget how bad I was.
No.
They will live every day being like, do you remember that shit brown girl that you know, like, in that tiny basement bar? I will never forgive that day.
Like, the thing is about being a comedian, I feel, is like, you're actually, like, the results are there. Like, if nobody laughs, like, you kind of feel like, oh, I didn't do my job properly, right? Because people are coming there to laugh. Where it's like, I feel like you're really putting yourself out there, where a lot of people like try things and they're like, if it doesn't work out, like,
right,
it's fine.
There's no audience to watch you fail.
There's no audience. Like, even though whatever, there's an audience on social media and stuff like that, it's different, I feel, when you're actually live performing. So, how's that
balls?
Like? Yeah.
Manscaped?
Yeah.
Yo, honestly, I could use some Manscaped right now for real, because I just got this boob job and I have not been able to move my arms for like a month. And apparently me and my boyfriend had like blackout sex on Friday, and I do not remember. Super embarrassed. That conversation was so awkward because like, okay, I don't mean to change subjects, but can we grow up, right?
Yes.
And all of our parents are like, men only want one thing. Don't forget that. Like, men only want one thing. And I'm like, what is it? And they're like, your vagina. And I'm like, no way. They want my vagina? Stop. Like, really, thank you.
Oh my God, I have the thing that men want.
Yeah,
wow.
I have the secret to their desires. Like, wait, it's not what we think it is. It really isn't. And when I started dating Micah, you know, I had lost all the weight. I had this like increased libido. I was like ready to bang. Like, let's do this. But, you know, the thing is that I find women are the hornier species.
I think guys always think they're hornier until they meet a girl who can like match that. And then they're like, wait.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I feel that. And also, like, there's definitely a double standard where it's like, they're like, men are this way and men do this, but it's like, yeah, you should meet some women. Women are the same too. Like, just meet the right women.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, women are I mean, we have a friend of ours.
friend. Shout the name.
Won't do it like that.
No, I'm not going to do it. But one of our friends, like, so the way I met her is her and my boyfriend used to hook up like way back in the day, right? And I love all my coochie sisters. Like, some of my best friends are my coochie sisters. Like, my boyfriend has fantastic taste in women. Like, what do you want from me? You know, like, they're all wonderful people.
I feel like that's a compliment, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, thank God your exes aren't trash.
Well, it's like, okay, you like hot girls, so I'm hot. Like, when
Hot,
you see
smart
some exes
girls.
and you're like,
So how was it the first time you did your first show?
So,
Where were you?
I was in Toronto. It was at this tiny little basement bar called the Ossington. And I decided it would be a great idea for me to get super stoned and drink a lot of beer before the show.
that sounds like such a good recipe.
For disaster.
It was. And then I walk in and there's only 5 people in the audience. All 5 people are comics. And I was so nervous that I went up, and the only thing I can really remember saying is like, Toronto, why are you so cold? Sometimes when I bend over and do yoga, I fart. Bye. Like, I ate shit. I bombed, but I left so happy.
Right.
I was like, it's done. That's the Band-Aids ripped off.
Right.
That was the worst that could happen. Like, when do I get to do this
uphill
next?
from here.
Yeah.
I feel that way about our podcast. Like at the beginning episodes, I'm like, they're so bad. Like, you couldn't pay me to watch. You actually could not pay me to watch.
Well,
Look,
thankfully
I'm
you have no
jobless.
footage of your first one because we have footage.
Oh,
so.
we have footage, and people can, find us.
online.
People can listen to this right now and go straight back to the beginning. So,
How long have you guys been doing this for?
almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, happy anniversary to us. Everyone's been doing their show 2 years.
I know.
Cheers.
Yeah, ours is a quarantine baby as well.
I know. I feel like a lot of things changed when quarantine happened. We were like, how can we start something that'll show our personalities, but that'll also have us like kind of like have the rights to what we want to kind of say and put out. And a podcast was just it.
Yeah.
I think that COVID actually pushed a lot of creatives to think about what was next, because it just leveled everybody on the same playing field. Like,
Yeah.
no matter who you were, how much money you made, like, fuck you. You're
can't
going
go
home,
Yeah.
buddy.
Yeah.
Like, stay in your motherfucking house, because
Yeah.
COVID don't care if you're Fisher, doesn't care if
Yeah.
you're Diplo, it doesn't care if you're Ariana Grande. Everybody inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it does care if you're certain people, because they went to islands and shit. So I guess that's the contradicting comment there.
It's weird. Like,
Yeah,
I think
politicians
about it,
not
would we
included.
have ever started this podcast if COVID was never a thing? Like, think about that.
I don't think the kickback would have been a thing. I wasn't planning on coming back to Montreal at all. I was done with comedy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, why were you done with comedy?
Well,
Wait. Let's pedal it back.
Yeah.
Why don't you walk us through your comedy journey?
Yeah.
okay, I'm
And
going to walk
we'll
us through the
refrain from going
comedy
on
journey.
tangents.
I know my ADD is so bad. You guys are going to have
We'll
to
put you
put me
back
in
on track,
place.
don't
Yeah.
worry.
My grade 3 teacher did not succeed in that task. But yeah, so I started in Toronto and I did like one show, and then I came back to Montreal. I was like 22 years old. And I started on the open mic circuit at the Comedy Nest and doing a couple, bars here and there. But I constantly, like, I knew I was funny, and I always had like a Keem to kind of push me and just be like, no, you're hilarious, blah, blah, blah. But my thing was that I was a big girl back then. I made a lot of jokes that were self-deprecating, but were still like true to me.
Yeah.
Like, regardless if like Amy Schumer was the thing at the time and she was doing self-deprecating humor, what happens a lot in the comedy community is that, especially with women, people only know like a handful of female comics. So if you're funny at all to their standards, they're going to compare you to the first female comic that you remind them of or they know.
Right.
So if I'm doing fat girl jokes, oh, well, Amy Schumer does fat girl jokes and
Right.
she's not funny, so you're not funny. Or, it was a couple things like that. And I knew I was funny. I was making people laugh and my friends would always come out. But what happened then, like in that time, was that people would kind of like degrade it and be like, oh, like, her friends show up and that's the only reason why they laugh. And that's the
Yeah.
only reason she's getting laughs, because her friends are there to support her. And she's a bringer. She's not actually a real comic. You're a real comic if you can go in front of an empty audience and make people laugh. I call those people dinosaurs. But imagine I let it gaslight me for so long. And then I submitted a tape to Gotham in New York City to get on. And Akeem came with me on that trip, and I got accepted.
Wow, amazing.
So I went to Gotham in New York City, which is like a huge comedy club. Like you
I've
walk
been.
in. Yeah, you walk in, you just see like every famous comedian and their moms on the wall. You're like, okay, I'm doing this. Now, it's still not easy. Like you get booked at Gotham and then you need to bring 10 people.
Oh, really?
So,
There's
yes.
like requirements?
Yes. In New York
Tinder
City, there's a
dates.
lot of
Yeah,
requirements.
those Tinder dates. Did you swipe on that app
No,
when you were there?
I got all my greasy Greek cousins in Astoria, Queens, baby. I called in the troops. I was like, we did not breed for nothing. You guys,
all the polices. We need you to square up.
all the call of tourists need to show up for me right now. So, you know, my cousins came out and Akeem was there. So I was able to get my 10. But, you know, even at that, sometimes you go back to your city and then other people will see that and be like, oh, what a big deal. Do you want to be on my show now? And it kind of,
that's what it always is.
yeah, you always have to get famous somewhere else for your city to notice you. Is that not the craziest thing?
I could not agree with you more on that. Wow.
People just need to see that other people like you too, so that it's like allowed for them to find you. Like as soon as
it's so fucked up.
it's like laughing is contagious, but hating is also contagious.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like as soon as people are like, oh wait, so she was good enough to go there. Okay, maybe she is funny, you know, which is fucked up. But you know what? It's the name of the game, and you cracked it, so that's good.
Nice, mamas. We're gonna keep cracking it though. I also I feel like female comics though, and like female producers of podcasts, like they really are very critical of themselves. And like, yes, I know we should be kinder and all of that, but I think the self-reflection is good. I think that if you go into something continuously wanting to improve, you're gonna get better at it. I've seen more people screw up by being like bombing on stage and coming off and being like, I fucking killed it. Wasn't that sick? My pedophile joke was awesome. And I'm like, ugh.
You know what it is though? It's like I feel like the people who have so much to say are the people who never really took the time to actually put themselves out there in order to even like fail. So it's like, for me, I'm learning that the opinions of people who never took, like, who were brave enough to take a chance to even start anything, don't affect me anymore. Like, it actually goes right over my head. If it's critique coming from somebody who is in the space or who has like the knowledge, then I'm so for listening. But I don't really, and maybe that's fucked up, but I don't really care to listen to somebody who has not even done it for themselves. Yeah. So
not only that, but not even someone that like you look up to or admire, which is always something I've said, right?
But like you were saying, you know, like people refer you to Amy Schumer, but in a way, technically, like it's a good thing because there's somebody out there that's doing it. So for you, you have a role model that you can look up to. It's like for us in the podcast, everyone's like, oh, you're trying to be Call Her Daddy. But it's like, we're not going to hate on that because she's super successful. So if that's what we have to look up to and that's where we can get to, then I'm so happy that we have like that person to be like, we can get there. Yeah. You know, it makes it more, how do you say it? Like achievable. Right. I guess.
Yeah. I think it's pretty validating as well because, I mean, you know, I come from a marketing background as well. Like I'm not just a comic. So you have to look at things from a very realistic perspective, right? People are so sensitive. Artists are the most sensitive people on earth. Like I cry all the time. Cancer rising. What's up? Just tears every day. But at the same time, it's when it comes to people benchmarking, which essentially is all it is, right? You see something, you get inspired by it. You want to do it. You make it your own. Yeah. Mm-hmm. People have written multiple essays on the same topic. Yeah. Like it's not a big deal. It should only push you to go to the next level, if anything, and you're creating a new standard every time you evolve. So, you know, even if people copied our format, it's not like my format was completely original for the kickback either. Yeah,
right.
Right? A free shot is something that we do at European weddings, and open bar is something we do at European weddings. A DJ on stage is something I pulled from Ellen, growing up with Ellen, and then the entertainment and the interaction and the big lights and the big this come from my time at Club Med.
Right. It's like everything we go through in life are experiences that we kind of just like bottle up and like make one.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll never regret quitting comedy for 3 years. I think it was the best thing.
Yeah.
Well, my home life was very rough. So
Okay.
to give like a background context, my mother in 2009 had like a herniated disc, and she was very overweight, and she had a surgery that got bad, and she was prescribed Oxycontin.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So from grade 9 up until most of my life, like when you're a kid and you see your parents with like a pill bag, you're like, oh, this is normal. Old people have pill purses. I'm like, my mom had like a clutch and shit. Like, she had a bad surgery. She needed painkillers. And this was before the opioid crisis became a crisis. This was 2009 when they're like, this is this drug and Oxycodone is going to fix everything and blah, 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 blah. So my mom got hooked. And as a 14-year-old, I didn't understand that she was not only bedridden from pain, but bedridden because she was so stoned off of painkillers. So for, you know, the majority of my life, I was making my mom toast and cheeses and rubbing her back after school and having to ditch parties and never going out because I had to come back home and take care of mom and do this and do that. So, you know, I think that when we're young and like when we're 18 and we're 20 and we have our girl gang and all this kind of stuff, your actions are so taken face value that even your friends might not understand what's going on, because I didn't even understand what was going on. I was like, my mom had a surgery and she's just sick and she's on Oxy. And
you just go with it.
Yeah. And like her mood swings and her this and her that and the Greek guilt, like this is all things that are normal. And this is just my culture. The screaming and the guilt trips are my culture. So it got to the point that I was 25. I had felt like I got to a certain level in comedy where I was like, I'm funny. That's all I needed to know. That's all I need. I'm not defined by one career. I'm funny. I did it. I could die happy. I made it to New York. But if I do not leave Montreal and I do not figure out who the hell I am, that's not Jenny's daughter or Jim's daughter or Nassie's sister or Kayla's friend, or if I don't figure out who Eva truly is, I'm going to die. And that's how I felt.
Yeah.
Like when I saw I was very depressed. I only saw black when I saw my future. And I was like, okay, I have built myself up to a certain level. I've kept good relationships. If I'm meant to be a comic, I need to trust God and take this time for myself and figure it out. So I applied for Club Med, and it was like the best experience of my life. The hardest experience of my life as well, because like, you know, the thing is, it's a European company. So I escaped Montreal also being like, I'm going to go live with Fernando and like meet my Dominican lover. And like, this is I'm just going to be that girl. Like, you know, I'm just going to run away to an island. Little did I know it was like a French owned company from France. So I arrive in the Dominican. I moved to a country completely by myself, which is within 3 weeks. Like, that's nuts. Like, I needed to get out that bad, and they pay for your flight, they pay for your room, they pay for your board, everything. And I get to the gate and I'm waiting to be greeted by not Jerome. And this like tall 6'5" guy looks at me, he's like, bonjour, bienvenue à Club Med Punta Cana. And I was like, where the hell am I?
Oh my God.
And I had never worked with people from France before, but like, I love them. I stand by them, but like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Canadians are very sensitive people. The French do not cry. Ruthless people. I would cry or like get overwhelmed. Like, I'm this 25-year-old girl who just moved to a country by herself. I'm a big girl too, but they just see like big girls and they think we're all the same. So I was working with another friend of mine who kind of looked like me. And we were working at this special zone called like the Zen Oasis. But like some rules for the staff are like, you're not allowed to drink smoothies. You're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to do that. But I was going in there as the social media manager for the resort. So apparently we were supposed to have special privileges or something like that. And I get pulled into the office the next day by Jerome. And he sits me down. He's like, hello, Eva. We need to talk. And I'm like, what's the issue, Jerome? Like, what's up? Day 3. What could I have possibly done? And he's like, the staff are telling me that you are eating lots of smoothies. And I'm like, really? Are you sure? Because I just had the one. Like, I just had the one smoothie. I'm not out there devouring smoothies at the bar, like on my 3rd day. And he's like, no, they told me they saw you drinking all of the smoothies. And I'm like, okay. And I think back and I think of my friend Jenny and I'm like, this motherfucker thinks all fat people look the same.
Because my friend Jenny was drinking.
Because my friend Jenny, who was also the manager, this bitch was devouring smoothies by the minute, dude. She was just eating that shit up because she was the manager of the Zen Oasis. She was like, Alfredo, un otro smoothie. Like, and I look at him and I'm like, Jerome, how did they describe me to you? And he's like, short, fat. And I was like, damn, like he didn't even try to like say wide. Like he just looked at me and was like, you are fat. And I was like, damn, that's a lot. Wow. But the thing is
French
that
people are savages.
I know, but it's so funny.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to admit it, but like they're so funny. They're so ruthless. Like, for as much as Quebecers hate people from France most of the time, they're like, fuck the bourgeoisie and all that kind of stuff. At Club Med, when we'd bring it up, they'd be like, oh, you so cute little Canadians with your little accent. Yeah. Look at you. We sent you there many years ago. You remember? Okay. Les filles de roi ou quoi?
I like spoken to a France guy and he was like, can you please speak French? Like, can you speak French? And I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I'm not going to butcher your amazing French by bringing in my Canadian French. We're just not going to go there. We're going to speak English. And that's what it's going to be. And listen, I understand you. If you want, you can speak French. I will listen and speak back in English.
I think, yeah, it was nuts. But again, it was like the work ethic that you build, you know, the entertainment that you're surrounded by all of the time. Because, you know, on the plus side, Club Med is all about the experience and everything is big. And there's a different show every night and people dress up. And there's the circus show and the sexy show and then this show. And you know, we have go-go where the girls dance on the stage and we do these crazy signs and we get the crowd amped up. These are all things that, you know, as hard as it was working there, that comes with you and that stays with you because at the end of the day, Club Med is about making people feel important and making people feel special. So I took a risk taking a break, but those 3 years...
You were there for 3 years?
I was there for 3 years. I told myself I was never coming back, and I was supposed to open the first all-female run resort in the Bahamas with one of my friends who was going to be the manager. And then COVID hit, and they sent us all back, and it was like the biggest heartbreak of my life. Like,
do you ever see yourself going back?
No. No way. Oh, no, fuck no.
But see, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. And like I did get away from my family, but then they just ended up buying a condo right next to the resort.
I have a question for you. So do you feel like all comedians or all funny people had some kind of trauma happen to them in their life for them to be funny? Like, do you think that... Because I feel like a lot of people are like, well, you can't be funny unless you had trauma happen to you. Do you feel that way? I kind of feel that way.
I do. I think the people with like the most intricate humor have been through something because it's coping mechanisms, right? Like I didn't even, and you don't really know you're being traumatized until you're 28 years old. You're like, oh, and like every moment of your life is a That's So Raven episode. You're like, oh, shit. Oh, that hurt. Like, you know, I didn't know my body dysmorphia was so connected to like my mom being like, are you sure you should wear that? Oh, you look good, but like 10 more pounds and you're tipping the scale instead of being taught self-love. Mm-hmm. You know, she was always saying like, why can't you be like your sister? To no fault of her own, she's a product of her generation, right? And that's the thing that a lot of us don't realize. Like, yes, we have trauma. Yes, we have anxiety. I've had horrible things happen to me. But at the end of the day, my mother was an adopted child who was hurt and went through her own thing and did her best. Mm-hmm. As a result of what she was brought up in. So like I have ADHD. I'm sure I have a whole slew of stuff. But in the 90s, it wasn't normal to take your kids to the doctor. Like if there was something wrong with your kid, there was something wrong with your kid. Like, you know. Like,
now we just all self-diagnose ourselves. We're just like, we have this, we have that.
Yeah, well, the TikTok algorithm's just doing its job. Help. That's for sure. It's like 5 signs you have ADHD. And I'm like.
So you took 3 years off. And then what made you come back?
COVID sent us back.
Right.
But
what made you go back to comedy though? Because you could have just came back and been like, fuck that. I did, like you said, you left off on the note of like, I achieved what I wanted to achieve.
My boyfriend.
Wait, so you didn't do comedy until you met him?
I wasn't like, I was like maybe thinking of going back, wasn't sure. And then he was the one that was like, I'll DJ, you host, like, let's throw a party. And I was like,
that's a good way to ease you in.
Mm-hmm.
But we weren't dating back then. We were just like bang bros. Like,
right. He was like, you're funny, I see talent, like you should do it.
Oh yeah, when he met me, he told me, he's like, I didn't know at what capacity you were going to be in my life, but I knew there was no way you were sneaking your way out. And I was trying to sneak my way out all the time.
Now he's
fearful avoidant, baby. TikTok told me so.
It's so funny. I was just Googling that the other day. I was like, what attachment style am I?
Oh, well, if you want to run away every time you're in an argument, you're probably a fearful avoidant.
Babe?
Great.
Babe,
that's
what
we are.
Fearful
David?
avoidment.
That's what we are.
So I find, and I can just talk for us, but I've seen it a lot in this space. Like, we, for example, get a lot of hate when we're funny.
Yeah.
And confident. We'll get like a lot of hate online, specifically from like men who just will always like throw us down and be like, you're not funny. You're not pretty enough to be doing this. You shouldn't be confident. This isn't a funny joke. Women can't be funny. Just like all these like serious things. And I feel like that's something that has almost like reserved me and been like, oh, wait, people still think like this. And I feel like maybe for you, it might even be even worse because like you were saying previously, Alessia, like we don't see the reaction, you know, like we're behind, like our viewers are behind closed doors. So we don't know what people are saying. Whereas for you, it's like that real life audience.
Yeah.
And I think as a woman, when you're trying to be funny already, you're going into like, you have to almost like prove that girls can be funny.
Yeah.
And I feel like that could be really hard as a comedian. I feel like people don't, you have like so much more to prove. Like we could be funny. You know what I mean? Like what's that like? I think one of the biggest things that holds me back in comedy would be like the fact that I'm a girl. If that's not
really,
because I feel like people always try to find, like I could say something funny and then people will always just like, and like if a guy would say the same thing as me, it would be like funny just cause. But for me, it's like, oh, well, like, you can't say that because you're not a boy.
And he lives in his basement with his mom. Like,
and it's just like, well, I see you guys make stupid as fuck jokes. And I just feel like the standards are way higher. And sometimes it's really hard to, like, surpass them and, like, to meet them, you know? Like, to make people laugh. And I just want to have your opinion on what it's been like being a girl in such, like, a male-dominated industry. Because it is, realistically, because if you think about it, like we grow up and we don't see that many female comedians, right? Like any person can probably not name 5 female comedians, you know, but they can name 5 male comedians. So already we grow up and we don't have many role models to look up to. And then when you do try, it feels like, oh, you're trying to like prove something. So I don't know. What was that like?
I also feel like it's too like when women, it's like, oh, you're just pretty, you're not funny. Like they blow it off, or like it just seems like there's always an answer for why a girl can't just be funny. Yeah, like there's always has to be something attached to it. Whereas I feel like men have a little bit of the advantage.
It's more
kind of thing. Yeah.
Do you feel like you experienced that?
So I remember when I first came back to Montreal and I first started, it was a completely different ball game, and I was completely terrified. And the scene was run by a handful of the same dudes who held you at a certain place, and I most definitely had to prove myself, and it was terrifying. But at the same time, I think that, you know, you feel it in your gut. And as much as like at first it's really scary or whatnot, and you know, whatever, like people called me a bringer, people called me this, but my friends still liked comedy, and they didn't know my friends. My friends have no problem telling me when I've messed up. They have no problem telling me that was trash, you know, like from the outside, they're like, oh, her friends are here. I'm like, yeah, to destroy me. Like if I screw up, are you kidding?
Yeah.
And that definitely affected my confidence and my doubt in myself for a while. Because it's like, okay, am I now only getting spots because I'm a woman and they need to fill their female quota? Am I now getting spots because I am also a tanned woman and they need to fill their quota? Or am I funny? Like you ask yourself all of these questions all the time as to why is it you got a spot?
So true.
And
it's crazy. Wow.
It is. It is. And it's nuts. And it's like, you know, they make dick jokes, but like, oh, she makes dick jokes. It's hacky. No. Like, my dick jokes are better than yours. I use a dick as a microphone, asshole. Like, you think I'm not talking to my boyfriend? Like excuse me, babe. Like, and so at first, yes, I definitely felt that. And then, you know, I think it really changed as I started the kickback with Micah, because I wanted to do something different. And I remembered that at the end of the day, I don't want the people at my show that are going to say those things. And I'm going to attract exactly the right demographic that I need to support me. And all those keyboard warriors that are probably living in Wisconsin with their moms and haven't changed their Cheeto-stained shirts in 5 months can keep commenting about how we have great tits and no humor. Continue playing COD. Have a great time. Masturbating with your pocket pussy. That's how I feel about that. Because it's fuck it. Screw it. That's what I said. I was like, I'm not going to kiss ass and wait for someone to give me an opportunity. Why? I'm in marketing. I'm a video editor. I'm a photographer. I know how to set up an event. I've opened a resort in the jungle.
Yeah.
Hardest thing I've ever done. We were the only resort in the jungle. We lost power both the day before opening, and half the people put the wrong furniture in the wrong rooms, so we were running around a 17-kilometer resort trying to move furniture. Like, I'm not worried about you, bro. Like,
yeah.
Son, sir, sorry. I didn't need to get so freaking Parkex. But, you know, that's the thing. It's like, you could sit and you can worry and be like, why am I not funny enough? Or you could remember the times that we're in, and you can filter those people out with a hashtag. You know what I mean? Like, those people will always trickle in. They're always going to say something, and they're around, and it's weird to know that they're around and that they feel that way. But I think we need those people.
I think it's impossible to be loved by everybody.
Yeah.
I feel like you're doing something right if you have haters. You know, it's.
I don't know, I got haters, and I filled up a 500-person theater of good people who are nice humans. So, or I could have gone a different route and kissed ass and done things that weren't for me. But, you know, I also feel like my calling isn't just necessarily to be the star or the comedian, or I really truly enjoy showcasing comics I believe in and giving them a chance, because it's like, again, I know I'm funny. I have my own thing going on and my own stardom, but I also have a business background and I have marketing skills, and there's a whole market in Montreal English comedy that
to one thing when you could do many.
Yeah, I don't have to just be a comedian or just be a producer. You don't have to just be a podcast or just be a comic. You have an opinion, you have something to say. Go on stage and say it, and someone's going to relate to it. And I find the biggest haters are always the people who are not succeeding and not doing anything.
Or not trying.
Well, yeah, because people who are busy don't have time to look at what you're doing and have an opinion on it.
Yeah.
People who are truly busy and hustling are like, you're doing something cool. Good job. Bye.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think my biggest fear in this world is like never not doing something and always wishing like, what if this podcast never makes it to where I want it to go, then I'll just be happy I ever even started and got to where I got. Whereas I would always just be thinking about it and it just never got there, but I never even tried. Right. I would hate myself so much more. So I think you have to go for it. Whether it becomes big or not, you have to.
Why not? I don't have any hate towards Quebec for not putting money in English comedy. I completely understand. On the contrary, this is the way Quebec is. It's not little old me being like, care about us. No, it's clear that you don't. That's perfectly fine. I'll take it from here then.
I'll do it myself.
I'll do it myself. Like, I will showcase the people I want to showcase.
It was such a good show. Like, Veronica and I remember leaving and being like, that was really good.
Yeah.
And you were like the MC, and you popped in and you kind of like introduced every comedian. And I was always looking so forward to having like you come back on, because I feel like your jokes were so universal, and it's just like, and anyone could relate and laugh to. So I really was like super blown away.
I appreciate that. That's kind of my goal.
I think you really had a good grasp on like the audience and you really knew who you were telling jokes to, which I think is super important.
Yeah.
Which I feel like,
And she also reads the room well.
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's really important as a comic to know who you're speaking to. You know?
Well, no, actually, I wasn't. I don't think I was that way. No.
Oh my God, I thought you were like wasted.
No. That's just me. You never get drunk at your own show. Right. I have before, but not that one. That one I was like running around. I was maybe towards the end, I was drinking a little bit more. Like after my half was done, I was like, I'm smoking a blunt in the back room right now. Like I am.
How do you come up with your jokes?
Guys, summer's around the corner and you might have your abs, but do you have a bush? Because if so, we need to get rid of that. And you know how we're going to do that?
How?
With Manscaped, because they are the best in below the waist grooming for men. You need to join the over 2 million men across the world that are using Manscaped.
Guys, spring is around the corner, and you know what that means. All the cuties come out, and I'm talking about the girlies. So if you want to get laid this summer, then you have to be on Manscaped, because I'm not hooking up with a guy who doesn't take care of himself.
True.
So guys, use our discount code ChemicalX at checkout to receive 20% off your man's first ever ball razor. So 20% off and free shipping using Chemical X at checkout. Veronica, it's getting hotter outside, which means weddings.
And which means our men better cover up in a nice Italian tailor-made suit.
If you're not in an Italian suit, then you probably are not stylish.
That's true. We're Italians here. We actually have a Greek here, but we're just going to insult the Greeks.
Yes.
If you're not in an Italian suit, who are you?
Look, Italians don't do everything amazing, and I'll give it to the Greeks. They make very good olive oil, better than Italians. But what they do not make the best, it's fashion.
Right.
So
I can't argue with
that. I don't think anybody can argue with that.
Well, like we like are owned by Germany now.
Yeah. So guys, Izotti, we are giving you guys the discount code today, 20% off using our discount code Chemical X at checkout for 20% off your mans, your fathers, your sugar daddies first suit.
I don't.
Like I'm just perfect,
you
and
do
I
it
wake
on
up.
the spot?
So I have stories.
Right.
And that's the other thing is that you're going to go into comedy, right? Because I know you've been talking about wanting to go into comedy. And this is my biggest advice is if anyone turns around to you and tells you how to tell a story, fuck that. Right. Tell a story, how you tell a story to your friend. There are definitely general rules of comedy, of structure, of things like that. You know, I'm always working on my structure. Like I can't remember shit in order, like since I was a kid. And I have other friends who can memorize their sets like word for word at this speed at this time and nail it. And I am not that person. I'm distracted all the time. I jump from story to story. I'm a freaking blabbermouth Greek. Like it's not who I am. But at the same time, for so long, I was trying to fit myself into that box to be like all of those other comics. And I couldn't. And the second I let go and was just like, I'm going to tell this story how I would tell this story to my friends. And I'm going to express my emotions and I'm going to express my opinion and make this dark matter just a little bit lighter. Whoever's going to connect with it will connect with it. And that's it. That's all. No one in the audience is being like, I bet they didn't do that 3-punch rule. Didn't see that. Like,
right.
And that's the misconception about as a marketer for Montreal, right? It's people come to the city and they're like, oh, Montreal is the capital of comedy in the world. And it's like, well, for Americans, yes. Just for Laughs hosts a lot of Americans, but we have showcases in Canada, but you don't really see us on the big shows. So there's not really a lot being done for Canadians in Montreal specifically. Like in other parts of Canada, there's tons of great initiatives going on. But in terms of our province,
right,
MERP, you know?
Because, yeah, English comedy for sure.
English comedy and nothing's really happened much to push it. So I'm going to give the credit to Micah. I was like, we got to do something different. Yeah. And most importantly, I wanted to pay comedians fairly. That was our biggest initiative because they get paid close to nothing. And I was like, I want to prove that you can pay people fairly. I want to prove that you can produce a show. Your comedians are the ones making people laugh. You're only going to give them a drink ticket. It's not even an open mic. Mm-hmm. Give them something to make them feel like they're growing, like they don't need to leave the city. And that's what it was for me. It's like, I want to create a new standard for comedy in my city. Like I want to create an event that comedians are going to be proud to be on and feel like they're growing, and people are going to be proud to come support, because it's not just going to be a comedy show and tell, which a lot of comedy shows are, right? They put like 15 comics, and you end up going to that show and you're falling asleep and you're like, what the hell was that? That's what's in my city.
Yeah.
That's a lot of jerk off jokes. Like, that's like, fuck me. So, you know, it was just sad. It's like, I want to create an event like I would have at Club Med, where people get drunk and they feel welcome, and it's interactive and it's warm and it's loving, and we're on stage, and it's like, I want to showcase people I think are great. I don't need to be the star all the time. It's not I don't think it's my purpose in life. I think my purpose is to make something a little bit different and new, and help people and help my city and help Canadian or comics in general. I have no idea where this is going to end up going, but the fact of where we are in 2 years is pretty incredible to me. And I think it goes to show that you can be a good person. And
there was like 500 people at the show. I wasn't expecting that, and when everyone was there, I was like, wow, this is really a sold out show. And I didn't know much about you at the time, and I was just like I can't believe I've never been to a comedy show in Montreal. And I left there so much happier than I would ever leaving a club, leaving a restaurant. And I was just like, wow, this is really missing. It's really missing in our city. So you're really making a difference, and I will be at every single fucking show. So
I told you I cry at everything. I'm like, it's my dream.
I'm like the person with the broomstick. Like,
I know, you're like, stop. We can't edit out your tears. I don't have After Effects.
But what I will say, and what I love that you said, is that you want something that people feel like they don't have to leave their city to grow. Right. And I think that's something really important. And we've spoken about it so much, how we feel like Montreal is becoming this like city where everybody wants to leave because there's no more opportunities. And I like the fact that one of your main reasons for doing this is to like create opportunities that people are proud of, because there's not that many things that you can like be a part of in Montreal and be like, yes, like look at me, I was a part of this, or I was on this show, or I was on this. I feel like we always get stuck with these like, you know what I mean? And it's so far and few. It's like 90% of the projects are French, and then we get that like 10% of like cool English things, and then you know what I mean, like there's just not much that we can be a part of and feel like, wow, I'm moving forward. And I love that you're building something that you want to grow, and you want it to be something that people are like, I was on the Kick Back, like that's awesome, because we don't have enough of that. And like so we so often talk about like how we feel like we're stuck and we can't grow because we're in a city where it doesn't feel like there's growth as there used to be. I feel like everybody is just leaving. Everybody is finding growth other places, you know, Toronto, Vancouver, like all these places that are really putting their time and effort into the talent that they have. And it's just really cool that you're putting time and effort and energy and creating like a platform that people can actually have a space to be a part of something like good and be a part of something curated. As like, you know, women, we like to do things in a particular way. And I'm so picky, like she was saying, like we're so picky about who we have on the podcast. It's like whoever we have is almost like a representation of like
who we are
and what we stand for. And it's like, I will have no guests for 20 episodes before I put somebody on just for shits. You know what I mean?
Literally.
And it's like,
feel that.
I feel like you're the same way when you come to choosing comics. It's like being picky. It's so important because these people are speaking for you, you know? At the end of the day, it's your show. So I just think it's really cool that you're setting a standard and like you're building something and building like a community.
Communion.
We're doing so good.
Couldn't get through it. But no, I just think it's cool that, you know, all the people that were there were coming from Vancouver. They were coming from Toronto. We had some Montreal people. Yeah, and it was just like nice.
Won an award. Like I was like, you go, girl. Like really like proud mom moment.
Thanks, man. I know I'm really proud of the show, and I'm really proud of my partner Big Norm and all the comics that were on, and it was crazy to produce within a month. Like I've never produced anything that big, but again, it's like at the end of the day, it's not that it's not hard, but it's really not impossible because the market is there. The people are there. We just don't know where to go. And that's really the issue, is that sometimes you feel stuck, but it's almost as if you're knocking on completely the wrong door and you're telling yourself that there's no options for you.
Yeah.
When you have an escalator just to the left. You
I
know?
said an Escalade. I was like, nice.
Yeah. You don't need a door when you have an Escalade. And so that's, you know, that's how we feel. But at the same time, I think the reason that the Kickback has grown into what it is because we care very deeply about the people who come, and we're just as proud of our audience as we are. Like, I hold our audience very dear to my heart, because like without the people that buy tickets to your shows, you don't get to do what you love. And they actively chose to come to that show that night and give us a chance. And it's like, I'm proud of that. I'm proud, and I'm proud of how they treated us too. There wasn't even a heckler out of 500 people. Like, everyone was just so respectful.
I just want to say, I've been to shows where there was like max 100 people. Like, to get 500 fucking people is something to be proud of.
Bro, I'm not even joking. I can't even get 10 people to my birthday. Like, I'm actually being like,
no, literally.
And you know what my problem is, and I applaud you so much for doing this, is like, I can never be like confident enough in something being fun to like, I'll be the worst promoter in the world. I'd be like, it could be fun, like if you want, like come if you want, like yeah, it'll be like pretty
like
fun.
You can't guarantee your money back.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I never have that confidence to like sell somebody like, this is gonna be great. And I love that you were like, this is gonna be fucking awesome, and then it was, you know, like that. I feel
Thank
like
God.
I was like,
Yeah,
maybe.
no.
But that's good. Like, you have to have like that confidence, and you have to have that hustle to just be like, come, you know.
Well, I definitely believe in the people. But again, like, the other thing that makes me feel confident are my friends that work with me, like Noor, Tess, Tammy, Alexa. All of those girls are my Kickback girls. And they've been at every single show, and they've helped me at every single show. They know that it's been like a 2-man team trying to run around and grow this for the past 2 years without any help. And my friends would always come in and serve the shots. And they're an extent. That's what I love what you guys just said, is that like, those girls are an extension of who we are as people and how we want to make people feel. And it's not for any reason that when people come to our show, it's like, hey, I saw you last show. What's up? Do you want to sit together this time? Like, let's take a shot. You want a shot? And it becomes like a social house that people come once a month and everyone meets up and hangs out. And it's
So I had seen one of the girls that I like ish knew through Instagram and stuff. I had seen her at the comedy show, and then I had seen her on Sunday, and it was just like we had this like extra bond where it was like, hey, like, you were at the comedy show. I feel like laughing is so contagious, and when you find people who just like want to laugh and want those good vibes, I feel like you hold like a different place in your heart for them.
It's a connection that like you had at that event that like only a couple people had that at that event, you know? But it's welcome to everyone. And that's all I want for my life. It's just to create a space where people can feel safe being sexy and feeling good about themselves and drinking and getting together and having a good time, because like the world has been shitty enough. And it's not hard to it's not hard to not be a piece of shit.
Honestly, some people would disagree, because it seems like they're having a tough time.
Yeah, but just don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Why is that so hard? Yeah, and I think in good nature too. It's more than comedy. It's really an experience, right? It's an evening out. It's something that you feel when you leave. Like, I really truly believe that there are certain things that you like, just I don't need to talk about in comedy. You know, there's a very big debate in comedy, and like either people will say like, I'm a comedian, everything's on limits, like I don't need any filter because like I'm the hero that gets to say what everyone's thinking. And it's like, relax, man. It's not 2005 anymore. The F word, not fun. You can't say it just because you're cool. Like, there are so many things that have happened to me personally in my life that are equally as hilarious as a topic I have no business talking about, because it's not my life experience. You will never catch me making fun of a human being or a type of person that has nothing to do with me.
Right.
You know, I think that for me is what's cheap. It's like, I'm talking about my personal experiences that I'm pretty sure everyone has gone through. I don't need to make a trans joke. I don't need to make a gay joke. I can make a bi joke though. I can make a bi joke though. But you know, there are things for me that are off limits. It's like, okay, if you guys feel like you're like the Avengers of who needs to talk about this, like I'm going to let you do that at your open mic, but why hurt people? Why offend 100%. People? Comedy is supposed to be about healing.
I also think that people who are like, well, I'm a comedian, like, what, comedy can't exist anymore, and it's like, well, your rape joke just isn't fun. Like, if you're a comedian only to tell like gay jokes and rape jokes and race jokes, it's like, well, then you're not that funny. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you can't find something else to be funny about, then are you a comedian? I do believe that, like, sometimes it's funny.
Dark
to, like,
humor.
Yeah, I do believe
like,
that some things are funny, and I think that sometimes we could be too sensitive. Like, I think Gen Z is extra sensitive. Like, now it's like, you said that. Like, you said cough. Like, we don't talk about coughing. It's COVID. You know what I mean? But I do think, like, that there is leeway, but I also think to say jokes that tear down somebody else and are just, like, disrespectful in this day and age, it's like, you know, you're walking into a pit of fire and you know it's not acceptable and you're still choosing to do it because why? You can't think of something funnier, you know? So
there's just like other things you could talk about, you know? Like I have so much childhood trauma to pick from.
You're like, the options endless. But I do feel like, however, though, like it is like it is a hot space for comedy. Yeah. Because
you have to know when you're going in that space that there is a chance you might get picked on for doing something that you probably didn't even know was bad.
Yeah.
Okay. You saw Marito called you guys the cast of Euphoria, and you loved it.
Every minute.
You loved it. You're like, yes.
People Riverdale, and I was like, glad I'm not those people. Okay?
But at the same time, it's like, yes, the comedian was picking on you, but he wasn't attacking you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He was emotionally intelligent enough to know that you probably watch it and love the show, and the girls on there are beautiful, and you're actually comparing them to beautiful women. Mm-hmm. But it's coming off in a way that's like, look at this cast of Euphoria. And you're just like, ha ha, like,
am I Maddie?
Am I Maddie? Tell me I'm Maddie, right? Who's Rue? Can I be Fez? Not his brother. But, you know, so yeah, like there's that. And
I mean, do you feel like there's things that like you don't agree with when it comes to, let's say, cancel culture or like stuff like that, where you found your own like kind of space for it, and things that you find like, okay, that's excessive and you're going to work within those lines? Or are you just like sticking to politically correct?
It's not that I stick to politically correct. I just stick to my personal experiences.
It's true, because I remember when she was on stage, a lot of her... We do that too, though.
Yeah.
We nitpick a lot of the times on us. So it's like, come at me. I'm talking about myself. Like, if you're going to attack me for making jokes about myself where I'm self-aware enough to know that I'm fucking crazy to do, like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Well, that's it, right? I'm like, at this point now as well, I've lived life as a morbidly obese woman, and now as a smaller woman
with tits,
with new
beautiful
boobies. Thanks, Dr. Short.
Your boob jokes were fucking hysterical. You need to give at least 3 after this.
3.
No, but but again, that wasn't a joke. Like, that was serious.
3 during our podcast.
So I've always had like really heavy breasts, and it was a huge source of insecurity. Breasts.
That's
heavy
like
set breasts. Like,
that's like a nice thing to say though. Like, I have heavy breasts.
Well, that's what my mom told me,
like,
made me feel better, but I called them sag bags. Like,
I can't even weigh my breast because it doesn't go out enough to sit on a scale. So I think heavy breasts is like nice. Like,
no.
How much do your breasts weigh? I like that. You're like, no,
baby.
Like
No, baby. That shit hurts.
Wait, what was your joke? You said something about like you're Jewish doctor or something.
Yeah, Dr. Schwartz. Okay,
so he's who did both of our noses. So
okay, Dr. Schwartz. He did my mom's boobs as well, and her tummy tuck, I believe. And the reason that my parents approached me, like, my parents were kind enough to pay for the surgery, but I lived my whole life like having weird knockers. Like, my sister looked like Jessica Simpson, and Jessica Alba fucked and had a baby. Like, she just walk around all the time being like, I'm Dee Dee and these are my D's. Like, these are like, ugh. Like, she was just so hot, and I was so awkward. Like, everyone called me like Lilo and Stitch, and
oh my god,
yeah, like I was just like Lilo, like. Yeah, but it was because I was like this little girl with like long hair and bangs just running around eating and stuffing like chocolate wrappers under the bed and like running away again. But I always looked up to my sister, and I was like, why are we not the same? Why don't my breasts look like that? And then, you know, you see your friends' boobs and they're just like little nippy bippies, and you're just like, I don't think they're supposed to be there. How come yours are there and mine are there? And then when I lost all the weight, then they became, you know, saggier and long as well. And, you know, my boyfriend loves me. He adores me, all of those things. But for me, it was such a source of insecurity because at the end of the day, I still have my fat girl brain and it'll still tell me that like this person is out of my league. And that's what you have to train yourself not to think that way, because with bariatric sleeve surgery, you lose 1 to 2 pounds a day. They rip out half of your stomach and you can only really eat a couple grams of food. So you're losing weight faster than your brain can comprehend. And this is years of conditioning, even with shopping. Like I just got comfortable shopping. I'm 28 years old.
Wait, did you have that surgery?
I had bariatric sleeve surgery. That's how I lost all the weight.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried the natural ways. I tried everything.
I'm not bashing it.
No. But it was, you bash yourself, right? Because
Yeah.
there's still a stigma. They're like, oh, it's cheating. It's this and that. But I was an emotional eater. I was depressed. My thyroid was off. Nothing I was doing.
If it'll make you happier, fucking do it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's nothing. I feel like it was very 2010 to shit on people who were getting plastic surgery.
Yeah.
But you know how liberating it's been to finally be able to wear clothes I never got to experience wearing. And it's a real thing. Like I never got to wear low cut dresses or feel pretty or sexy or even want to feel feminine. I never got to wear the strapless bathing suits. I had to wear like halters and harnesses and shit. Just flap that shit backwards. But, you know, it was the strangest thing for me. Like, or like tie my, you know, my strings behind my neck to pull the boobs up. You have to do all these freaking maneuvers when you have heavy breasts. And you do feel like you're missing out on something. So for me, it was so liberating to be able to have sex and not worry about where my breasts were going or if my body sounded like it was doing a fucking standing ovation. Like my ass and my tits were clapping. I was like, everyone calm down. I haven't even finished yet. Like, I don't need this much appreciation from my body. Like, I'm running out of breath. Like, imagine having sex with your boyfriend. It's just like... Am I fucking galloping or am I riding your dick? Let me know. Like, easy spirit. Easy spirit. Jesus. So, you know, for me, it was like, it was a very scary thing, but like going into the doctors for the whole boob job experience was whack. Cause like I thought I was going to get a diagram or one of those like 3D sketches of like what my breasts would look like. But this guy's like 95 years old. And the only reason I really trusted him because he was in Westmount. And I was like, well, if the Westmount mommies trust you.
Me too.
Then I trust you.
Yeah, I'm like, if you're in Westmount, you've been doing some rich old money boobies. Like, you can give me those perky nips. So he didn't show me any photos of like what he told me I was getting the ideal breast. And I was like, what does that mean? Old Jewish man? Like, Dr. Schwartz.
Wait, what's ideal to you?
Ideal to you or me? Like, are you updated with 2022? Like,
Have you seen Bella Hadid?
yeah.
Hadid?
I'm like, Mia Khalifa is what people called me in high school. I was a prude just because I had big boobs. Like, and he gave me this pamphlet. I don't know if you guys have seen the pamphlet in the office, but it's like the breast augmentation pamphlet. And it's really just a drawing.
No, clearly I haven't seen the breast augmentation pamphlet.
You don't need it. Your breasts are fantastic, as everyone who answered my story today told me. So, look at them titties. I was like, relax. I know.
To me, like 2 days ago, she's like, hey, babe, I don't know if this is a personal question, but can you please let me know like where you got your tits done? Because I'm looking into getting them done and I really like yours. And if
You're
you
like,
don't feel comfortable, it's fine.
God.
I'm like, well, they're real, but now I'm like, wait, should I be insulted at the fact that now they're looking fake?
No, I
Are you
think I
kidding?
think saying something looks fake is such a compliment.
I guess.
When people are
Yeah.
like, did you get this done? I'm like, no, but thank you. Do you
so
want
much.
a kiss?
Yeah, does this look like $5,000 titties?
Yeah.
Stop.
Wait, do these look like 10K?
These 10K tits?
That's when you know something's nice when they start going, who's your doctor? You're like, none, but I'll take it.
But then
God.
I answer her and I'm like, mine are real, but here's 35 doctors. I'm going, she doesn't believe me.
She doesn't believe you.
You know, like
liar.
those girls who are like, I'm not gonna tell you that I got it done, but I'll tell you what doctor you
I
could
would
go
do it.
to. If I did do it, that's where I would go. It's like, bitch, we know you went there.
Here's my discount code, though. I've never been.
They're like, if you use Alessia10 at checkout, you will receive 10% off.
And you know what? That's finally the 10% I want off because it's actually on a big fucking amount.
Oh my God. If I could get 10% off of fucking surgery, whew.
Yeah.
You're like, I still can't afford it, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Let me know.
It was it wasn't like a scary experience, but it was definitely like overwhelming in a sense, because I'm literally taking off 15 years of insecurity. Like, what is my life gonna look like now? But the whole process was so vulnerable. Like, you just like, you're sitting in this cold room and this man comes in after 20 minutes. He's like, whoa, hello. And then you just like slowly take off your clothes. And I'm like, am I cheating? Like, am I just like, am I your sugar baby? Like,
Wait, where are we going after this?
like, is this coming with dinner, Mr. Shores? Like, and I'm just like freezing. My nipples are getting hard. I'm like, don't worry, not horny. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, oh.
You're like, let me just get them hard.
Not everything's a stage, Eva. Not everything's a stage. Like, and he like literally just takes my breasts and he's like, yeah, 14 inches below where they're supposed to be. And I'm just sitting there like, am I hurt or excited? Where are they going to be now? Like, and it was the fastest consultation of my life. Like, how did I just pay you to feel me up? Like, I just paid $125 to only get my tits touched a little bit. That was like a cheap strip tease. Like, he didn't even give me a nice gulp. He was just like, meat merp, $10,000, please. And I was like, damn, I should have been a Jewish doctor. Like, and then you go in this room and there's like the tiny nurse and now I've taken my first nudes in very harsh lighting, may I add. And they're like, all right, stand straight. And I'm like, and I'm like, turn around. And I'm like, and they're like, all right, see you in a month. And I'm like, what now? Like, so I come back the day of and I'm pretty sure the nurse was new. Okay. And I'm very nervous to be put under anesthesia. For some reason, I'm just like, I don't get it. How just 3 hours pass? I mean, I've blacked out before, but like.
But like with vodka.
Yeah. Like not like shit in my body. So I get there, I'm talking to everyone, I'm super nervous, and the nurse comes in, and I'm just trying to nervously chat her up. And she's trying to find my vein, and this woman just starts poking me like a crackhead. She's like, come on, little vein. Come out wherever you are. And I'm like, there's one here, there's one here. Like, I can, like, what do you need from me right now? And I'm trying to explain to her, like, oh, yeah, like, I'm super nervous. Like, I don't really know what to expect with the anesthesia. Like, I don't understand how it works. And she looks at me, she's like, yeah, eh? Yeah, eh, what? Yeah, eh, you too don't understand how it works? Or yeah, eh, you're gonna explain it to me really quickly so I feel better? Like, are you kidding me right now? And then, like, I remember waking up and just being super out of it and like hot and itchy and just like ready to leave, and like I could like hear my dad in the distance picking me up, and this woman would not let me leave the bed, and I was freaking out. I was like, miss can I get out now? Like, I'm ready to walk. And like she just kept coming back. She threw a blanket on me. She was like, I'll be right back. I'm like, no, she's new for sure. And then I got up by myself finally after she got the thing done. And I was like, where's my dad? Because I was super stoned. Like, I need my dad. But obviously I'm a Greek donkey, and I thought I was like okay to work like the next day, because we're all just work donkeys. Like, not even horses, just straight donkeys in Santorini. Like, we will carry pounds of weight. You should see me going grocery shopping without my boyfriend. I think I'm such a hunter-gatherer. I just come back with like all this meat. I'm like, look, babe, I carried it by myself. And he's like, you're no one's hero. Like, relax. Like, no, I'm strong.
That's 100% me.
Why do we do that?
I always have to prove that I can carry all the bags myself, and I didn't need your help.
Yeah, unless we're lazy.
They have no more handle bags at my grocery store, so I have to like hold the brown bag.
Does your boyfriend have a grocery list like you already know in your head before you go do groceries?
What he wants, or
does your boyfriend have like weird staple snacks?
He only likes one thing in life, and it's Ben and Jerry's The Tonight Show flavor. Oh. And like, if I get him that, he's happy, but he doesn't give a motherfuck what else is in the bags.
Wow, that's so nice.
Yeah, he has no standards for food.
That's so Renee Zellweger.
He actually told me the other day.
I mean, that's good though. You don't want two people who are like, I want this and I want, like, you can do your own groceries.
Well, he told me the other day, and he was like, you know, if we were in like a zombie apocalypse, I would survive longer than you. And I was like, why? And he was like, well, you're always thinking about food and I'm like never really starving, but it seems like you're always starving. And I was like, excuse me?
No.
Well, like you're just always hungry. I was like, bitch, what the fuck? Like,
What's your point?
yeah, like excuse me?
All this overthinking burns calories, you asshole. I'm starving.
Yeah, I'm storing the food for when we are in a zombie apocalypse, obviously.
I'm a bear, motherfucker. I can hibernate. No, my boyfriend eats like a pregnant woman. Like he needs juice and pickles. No, he eats like a pregnant woman, and it drives me crazy. I don't know how this man's stomach isn't acid. Doesn't make any. He's like, babe, can you give me pickles and juice? I need pickles
and juice.
Loves pickles and juice.
Ew.
Oh yeah. I'm not that picky. I could pretty much survive off of everything. But like he is a past like football player, so like his thing is like, babe, today we're making stir fry, beans, chicken, rice, stir fry, healthy food. And I'm like, how about McDonald's? Because I'm hungover. And I was told once in 2008 that McDonald's will stop you from throwing up if you're drunk on the way home. And like our generation just told ourselves that.
Yeah. Proven fact.
Yeah.
I will be a part of any study that wants to prove that that's real because it is real.
I think it's like real. In our DNA. It's like I've woken up hungover before crawling, just be like, I need a sausage McMuffin.
I love
yesterday.
Sausage McMuffin.
It's always a sausage McMuffin. It's like the grease. It's like
the other day, Veronica's like, I went to McDonald's because I really wanted to try, what is it called?
The McGriddle.
The McGriddle. Have you had that?
It's back.
It's back.
It's back.
Dude, it's back.
I had no idea.
Thank you. I went all around the city. I worked like a whole 4-hour like shoot, and the whole time I was just like, I'm about to have a McGriddle because I saw that they're back in stores, and I was so excited. I was like, all day breakfast, we're all good. Drive all the way to McDonald's, send my friend like park. It was like a whole issue. She's like, there's no McGriddles. What else do you want? I'm like,
nothing. No. I put in my head that that's what I want.
My stomach, my mouth was all ready for a fucking McGriddle. I don't want a McPoulet now.
It's not the
sausage
same.
McMuffin, not the same.
And you only have 30.
She tells me, and she's like explaining a McGriddle. Then I'm like raining on your parade. I'm like, why would you want it to be pancakes as your bun instead of actual amazing biscuit? And you're like, Kayla, try it first before you talk. And then let me tell you, I went home, saw the commercial that same night, and I was like, looks fucking good.
McDonald's, you better be given a discount code.
Yeah.
Chemical X in your burgers.
So just to wrap this up, back to comedy and me just being a bad bitch, because we are at an hour and 20 minutes now.
Oops.
What advice would you give for anybody that's just looking to, I mean, you've definitely made some big jumps, like moving to Dominican, right? Dominican, yeah. Moving to Dominican, being a comedian, just like it seems like you're always taking these big jumps into doing things. And what kind of advice or what's some things that you learned that could maybe help people that are like looking to do a big jump or a big change or just like not happy?
Take risks and trust your gut. That's really
Amen.
It's really that take the risk. Take the risk and trust your gut. I have with this show mostly not listened to the advice people gave me because I knew in my heart at the end of the day, people just want to feel good and humans want to feel appreciated. And that is my secret sauce. There's no SEO, there's no hashtagging, there's no target marketing. It's just treating people well. And again, don't take advice from someone you don't look up to or you don't aspire to model yourself after, because especially in comedy, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to tell you that there's one way to do comedy and don't skip steps and don't do this and don't do that. And I think that that's a ridiculous thing to say because it's just not valid advice anymore. You know, we're not where we are in 2022 with technology where we were years ago. Mm-hmm. So yes, do the work, go to the open mics, practice your set, practice your craft, figure out what your story is and what it is exactly that you have to say and what you have to contribute. But, you know, if you bomb, you bomb, you're going to bomb. I bomb. Everybody bombs. Bombing isn't bombing. Bombing is learning how to do that joke just a little bit better. Mm-hmm. But you're never going to be able to escape the Joes that are going to tell you that like, oh yeah, you skipped steps because you started a podcast and then you did comedy, and then, oh, you were famous on TikTok and now you're doing comedy and that's why you're funny, but you didn't do the work. You didn't kiss ass and you didn't do this. And it's like, fuck that, man. Life is short. Skip as many steps as you can. If you're talented, you're talented. If you have an audience, you have an audience, and they're going to show up for you. And at the end of the day, people are going to want results. And at the end of the day, these big corporations that you're kissing ass for, what do they want? They want money. And you got to think of it as a business. Nothing is personal. And a lot of those people that are going to shit on you and be rude to you are people who are just been hurt by the scene. And it's barely personal. And your success just really means that they want it really badly for themselves and they don't really know how to go about it. So, you know, I let the whole bringer thing get me for a really long time. And then I produced a 500-person bringer show. So, you know, those comments are going to hurt you at first, and then it's going to be your biggest superpower. So really just do it.
Nike.
Do it. Just, oh, gross, I did that. But really, just go for, like, you have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose. And at the end of the day, if you're really that bad, no one's going to remember you. Like, you're
Deep. Fucking deep.
If
well,
you're
shit, you're forgettable.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I bombed. You think any of those people remember my first time bombing? Do you remember a comedian by name or face that you saw bomb?
Right.
No, because it's just a bomb. But the show was
you
fun.
just can't be amazing before you start. Like,
no.
You know, I have so many friends who are like, I want to start a YouTube channel. I want to do this, and I want it to be really amazing when I first start. I'm like, it's never gonna be in your eyes amazing from when you first start, because in a year from now you're laughing at what you did a year ago, and in a year from now it's a constant cycle of just like improving. So, and if you can't look back and be like, wow, we improved this, and this, it's not fun.
Well, that's what I mean. Growth is fun. Like, to be able to look back and be like, oh my God, we thought that was a good choice. Like, that's,
I know.
That's, and it's beautiful.
It's so true. And you need to be able to let yourself grow. You need to be able to like allow that something might not be the best that it is. And, you know, every season it's like, we're not going to change anything. And then I'm like, okay,
no, because you can always change something.
It's like, well, why not? You know, and then I'm always like, well, you know what? I love the set, but maybe it could be better. And there's always room to be better. There's always room to like try. And if it doesn't work out, you put it back, you know? So that's how I see it. I just feel like we're always evolving. We're always growing. And
that's what our set is doing.
Yeah, that's what our set is doing. That's what our podcast is doing. And that's what you're doing, you know, just growth. And I think it all comes with taking the risk of putting yourself out there. And it's the hardest part. It's like you said, ripping off the Band-Aid. It's just like going through that, like, oh, I know it's going to be rough, but we're going to do it.
But don't hold yourself back from doing comedy because someone says you're too hot to do comedy. That's the biggest piece of shit I've ever heard in my life. Because if anything, it's your superpower. Like, I love when people underestimate me. It fuels my fire. And I had no problem telling a competitor of mine I made no money off my show. No problem. He's like, did you make any money? I was like, no. But the people who were at my show were pretty freaking important people to me anyways.
And they loved it.
And they had a great time. And now when we relaunch in June, I'm going to make some money.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just that. It's like if someone looks at you and is like, well, you're too pretty to do comedy, okay? And you're fucking greasy. Like, okay? You're fucking greasy. And
when you're doing something you love and it's your passion, you can't expect that on the first try you're going to make money. I think it's just when something's a passion, eventually, if you keep going at it, you're going to get there, you know? So
we've literally been working on this for 2 years, and
we have
we've made money. We got mics, but like consistently for I just need everybody to realize.
We literally got mics.
Yeah, for 2 entire years, every single week, we've put hours and hours and hours of work in to make all the money we made reinvested into our set and into our mics. And we can't even say we've made money, but it's just like, I've never once been like, maybe we should stop because we're not making money. It's like I'm fueled by like just keeping going.
And like a lot of people stop right before they're about to make it, and I'm never gonna get to that point where I'm like, we could have almost got there and we didn't. Like, I'm not fucking stopping.
Yeah,
you know.
No, don't. And you guys have something amazing here, and that's what I was saying. It's like, I know we were talking about it before, but it's like, at the end of the day, you have a story. People are gonna relate to it. Clearly, You have your audience who relates to your stories. So what are you even worried about? The audience will tell you you're funny. Your whole network has already confirmed that you're funny and you're likable. So you don't need Tom, Tim, and Jerry in a basement of a bar telling you you're not a real comic. Okay, you can go be a real comic in your basement bar for the next 30 years, and I'm going to keep working and doing my shit because I don't have time for this crap. And that's the point where I got fed up. And I know it sounds abrupt and a little bit like rough, but it's like I put in the work for the past 6 years. I did my duty, but you can also grow. You're practicing public speaking. It's not much different.
Yeah.
And it's transferable. So you go up, you tell your story, you throw a free show for your audience. You guys see that you're doing a panel. Well, now I'm going into marketing terms. The podcast is over, but
She's giving us because when your comedy show ended, David, Veronica's boyfriend,
hi, David,
was like, do you see yourself doing something like this? I'm like, I don't see myself getting up and just like being a comedian, but my vision for like this podcast, one of it is that we start to grow such a network that like we just visit different cities and we just do like live shows. That would be amazing. So I'm like,
she's like, I'm a producer.
Oh, I'm going to produce it. No, because I believe in it.
You signed a contract.
I believe in it because
and then David was like, it's easy. You're just going to take your green grass wall. We're like, whoa. We were just going to take our 2 chairs. Whoever wants to come. No.
We're going to go bigger than that. But essentially that's it, right? It's if you really think about what you guys do for people, right? And I am speaking as now I'm stepping away from the comedian side of me and I'm going producer, marketer mode. When people listen to your podcast and they watch the videos, you're not much different from a comic. It's content that is relatable.
You're still saying a story. You're just not doing it with an audience. You're doing it with a camera.
You're doing it with actually a larger audience and a more difficult audience to connect with. I get direct validation if something works or not. You guys got to wait 24 hours to get your stats.
Do we have to pay you for this?
No, I'm fucking, once this is done, I'm like, okay, I got some ideas. But for me, that's my life mission. I'm like, I have the knowledge. I'm going to help as many people as I can help. Why gatekeep? Screw that. People who gatekeep are losers. Fuck that. So it's fucking gross. But it's stepping outside of yourselves and being like, you already have something to say. You already have an audience. You already have people that are watching your podcast being like, I connect with her. I relate to her. I could be her best friend. And that's the real compliment, is when you have people come up to you being like, I feel like we could be friends. And you already are friends. So it's like, what are you waiting for? You don't need to go to a Tuesday open mic. You can if you want to, but you don't have to put yourself through that either. Do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, I think what also is amazing is that Veronica and I are as similar as we are. We're definitely different in a lot of ways. And I think it's nice that people can watch and be like, I relate to Alessia, or I'm so much like Veronica. Like, you have both opinions, which is really nice. I remember I was like at a club or whatever, and she comes up to me and she's like, I am the biggest fan of Veronica. For a second, I was like, wait, you don't like me? What's wrong? But it's like, it's fine. You're never going to be everyone's favorite. Yeah. And as long as like they're watching for one person's opinion, you know, you'll have the people who will like you too. So it's just like, it's nice to know, like, if we were too alike and too similar, it wouldn't work either, you know? So
there's something for everyone.
But people look up to you. I look up to you guys. I've said it so many times.
Which is crazy because we're like looking up to people, but like we don't. It's so crazy what people look.
But it is. I've had people message me too, like auditioning for my show or telling me that I did this and I did that, and we never think of ourselves that way. We don't actually think we're inspiring anyone. But look what you guys did in 2 years, and look at how you grew, despite what everyone said or compared you to. You guys didn't care. You kept filming. You're like, okay, so when are we filming again? And it's the consistency. And that's the other thing. Just be consistent. Yeah. And test things out and let them fail and let them work and let them this and let them that. But in terms of comedy, you guys are already fucking funny. You already have your demographic on lock. You have the stats. Throw a panel. Throw a show. Try it out. My friend Joel had his first set on the Kick Back ever. But I
guys, write in the comments down below if you would love for us to do our first live show here in Montreal. If we can get enough people, maybe we'll consider it.
Maybe we'll download Tinder and start getting
hey guys, we're gonna let you know when the live show is happening because we already know that you would love to see our girls on stage, and we're gonna have fun, and I'm gonna produce it.
Thank you so much, Eva.
Thank you guys. I love you.
Like, we're so happy you came. Veronica, any last words?
I don't have any last words. I just want to say I can never. It's like I'm always like slick.
We were
Today, Junior.
I can never be slick. I'm really proud of you. I'm sure Leslie's really proud of you.
I'm proud of you
I've known
guys.
you for a short time, but it's cool to see other people doing big things in our city and like just being like badass and just like not giving a fuck, because I feel like that's what we kind of are. So it's just awesome what you're doing, and I think everybody should check out, if you're in Montreal or not, you should check out Kick Back MTL. And you want to give your
Instagram
your
handle?
socials?
Eva Alexo Comedy, and if you'd like to follow my partner Micah, this is Micah, I think.
It's her boyfriend. She's like, I think.
I bounce between partner and boyfriend because I don't know what's corny. Bye guys.
Thank you so much, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below, and leave us a